Anubis pretty comfortably 10-5, 10-2. So I'm thinking rankings may be feeling a little bit better the deeper they've gone into this tournament, which I think could be a problem for Kungara, but I am actually really interested to see how this veto does play out. I'm quite looking forward to this one because I think there's a lot of questions that we still have that are obviously going to be answered over the next 5 minutes or so. The first big one is, will we get to see Mexico today?
It seems unlikely unless Ranking are going for a really bold opening pick here. I would expect a Mexico or an Eagle Eye guaranteed ban out of these two.
I think it's got to be Mexico. I think it's a mistake if you leave Mexico in here. Like, I mean, it's the conversation of, is it better the enemy that you know versus the enemy you don't? Because in this case, they've gone for the enemy they know in a sense, right? Because they've seen Kungara play Mexico 3 times, but I mean, Kungara have looked pretty unbeatable on Mexico against teams that were not from China. So I don't know about this one from Ranking. I feel like personally a bit of a curveball maybe, and allowing Eagle Eye there could have been a play, but they will allow Mexico through. No doubt, obviously, that Kungara's going to pick that one. So things have, I guess, gone the way we've expected them so far, but Ranking compound pick is kind of what we're feeling maybe. So that's the next question. It's like, okay, we've got Mexico, that's locked in. Where does Ranking go? Are they going to throw something a little bit spicy in here, or is it going to be back to something a little bit more standard? And Black Widow is actually the choice, which I don't necessarily mind from them.
Interesting pick, yeah, but I mean, it's the issue for Ranking is if you're only able to play six maps coming into this event, obviously you always have this Eagle Eye man ban, and then you eventually have to play Mexico, the best map from Kungara. Because if you have a look at the Chinese teams, you know, of course, all the Chinese teams, they're able to play all 7 maps. So they can always avoid the best map from the enemy team. And this could play a very big factor into this in this matchup.
Yeah, I feel like going into the second bans here, I'm expecting a compound ban, but actually a sub-base ban comes out from Kungara. A bit of a surprise there. Maybe they have something prepared for compound. I would be surprised if Ranking doesn't ban Port here to go for the compound, because I feel like compound's one of the better maps we've seen out of Rankings so far. They always look really competitive on it, and there you have it. They are going to get compound as the third map. So even though Kungara, they're able to draw out Mexico, I feel like this map pool does lean a little bit in favor of Ranking, just knowing Black Widow and Compound are going to be there. I think Kungara, their win condition in this pool has to be kind of stomping on Mexico and carrying that momentum into a 2-0 sweep, because if this does go to Compound, I would say it's unlikely they win this series.
I totally agree. Either it will be 2-0 for Kungara, or we're gonna see a 1-2 in favor of Ranking, I feel like. Because on Compound, it's gonna be tough for Kungara.
Yeah, interesting.
I mean, Compound is quite similar to Ankara, right? And we basically saw how Kungara performed on those huge maps when it comes to good rotations, good team play, good cohesion.
Black Widow, I think, not a bad choice for Ranking there as well. It was a map that they played X-Rock pretty close on. And we've got to think about the context of what today means for these teams as well, right? 2 teams go through, so in theory, if you win one of your games, you're pretty much in a good spot to at least go through in the second seed. But if you take second seed, that's almost doomed because you'll play Baisha. But if you can take first seed out of Wildcard, like, I mean, debatably, that's almost better than taking second seed in the group stage, which is what Imperial had. And then they go ahead and have to actually play all gamers. So I think there's a very good opportunity for one of these wildcard teams if they can obviously take first seed out of the wildcard stage here, go into the game against X-Rock, and you know, if I'm Ranking, I'm looking at that as a really hot prospect, right? It's a tantalizing prospect because it was a 10-7, 13-10 loss. Yes, it was a 2-0, but how close they were to maybe even potentially upsetting X-Rock in that game, and they can get another bite at the cherry. Like, that sounds like an awesome prospect for Ranking. Obviously for Kungara as well, they had a super difficult group with Imperial and all gamers in it, and if you were 2-0 here in the wildcard stage and take first seed, you kind of get yourself a bit of a reprieve and potentially even make it into the top 4 of the event off the elimination stage. So I think a huge opportunity here for these wildcard teams, just based on the way that elimination stage bracket has turned out with the seeding from the group stage.
Yeah, I agree, and I also talked to Imperial a bit today, and they're very mad that AG was throwing this map against LCK, which is basically the main reason why they play AG once again, right?
They should have beat him on one map. They should have beat him on that Eagle Eye yesterday. Like that was not yesterday, the day before. But They had every opportunity to win one of those maps themselves. I mean, they lost the map to Kungara on Mexico, which they debatably probably shouldn't have, right? So, like, end of the day, you can't necessarily blame it on your opponents. Like, all gamers, I'm sure, kind of went in and did what they could, but I think Imperial just didn't have a clean enough group themselves. And yes, it's unfortunate that the way the group stages played out, but one thing that I was trying to sort of say yesterday was that at some point, if inevitably Imperial wants to make it into the top 4 or even into the grand final, they're going to run into a Chinese team somewhere. So it might not be too bad, actually, that it is all gamers in that elimination stage. Just because they've already played all gamers, they have a bit of a sense of how they play. They were pretty close to taking a map off of them already. The only better team, quote-unquote better team to verse would have maybe been X-Rock, but like certainly you get to at least dodge Baisha in the elimination stage. All gamers have looked kind of susceptible so far in this event, so I think you could definitely write a worse story for Imperial. And they've got a little bit of time to prepare for that match, so I don't know. Yeah, it's not ideal, but it's definitely far from the worst it could be, which is, I think, the mentality that they have to be going in with that. And inevitably, they're going to have to beat them at some point on their search for the throne, so might as well be tomorrow.
Yeah, and I feel like they can't be too mad at just all gamers in that situation as well. I mean, if they didn't lose that map to Kungara, they also would have been a stronger number 2 seed
100%.
And got to play either Pacific or even Vincent, and Vincent would have been a great first opponent for them in that bracket stage. But the luxury they do have is Baisha's on the other side, and if for some reason they take out all gamers
exactly.
doesn't go through to double elimination.
Yep.
That's their only chance, so we'll see how things shake out when we get that far. Before we get there, though, it is going to be our wild card stage ready to kick off here. Map number 1 between Kungara and Ranking. It is going to be Mexico as our first decider, as who will take that first solid step forward towards moving on to the next stage.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. I feel like there's a bit of stake in the game. You know, I feel like we've got some horses in the race, right? You guys have both gone for Kungara. I've chosen Ranking. So split on the desk, and we all want to see the teams that we predicted do well, because all of us have been pretty good. I think Seven and I are both almost 100% correct. One wrong each, if I'm not wrong. But that'll get split again today. One of us is going to be wrong, at least in this first matchup. So I'm going to be barracking for Ranking. Although I would like to actually see Ranking go through from this wildcard stage as well, personally. I wouldn't be disappointed, actually, if Kungara really showed up and essentially 2-0'd this one. Because I almost feel like maybe in the game against X-Rock, they're the team that I would give the best chance of actually getting an upset there. But anyway, enough of that discussion, enough of that storylining. Let's get into the game and chat about what's happening. The luxury that is afforded to us, at least, is that Mexico is quite a slow map to begin with. So do have a bit of extra time to start talking about other things. And a minute into the round, Kungara haven't really done a whole lot, though they are starting to take control of the sewer. And Ice Cube, watching that angle, isn't going to land himself that first shot. He's going to be a key player today for Ranking. Or at least you'd like to think he will.
And as we see, Ranking is the first team actually in this tournament which tend to play without mid. And I think this could pay off actually against Kungara. Because Kungara was doing a great job with those mid executes, always getting the entry frags, always trades in their favor.
Yeah, I think it's good as well as it gives them that ability to put more pressure on water, whereas a lot of teams got caught against Kungara only having one player in that location, and you can see Ranking trying to have at least 2 players that can respond to that water push at all times. So even though they don't have mid control here, they're not too worried about it, and you have Kungara having to use extra utility to take that mid control just in case somebody's playing there in this opening round. But now they've ran down the clock, only 30 seconds. They've got to make their move. It's definitely looking like they're going to put that pressure onto the A ramp here. You can see there's 3 players, though, already in position for Ranking. Nevis through the smoke takes down Brando, but there's no time to waste. They have to push into this trap, and Ranking is just slaughtering them all around the site. and they'll take it very cleanly in the opener.
One thing that I do wonder is how solid is Kungara going to be on this map if they don't actually have a good blacklist side? Because basically what we've seen every time is they've picked obviously they've picked Mexico, they've started blacklist side because their opponent has chosen global risk, but they've actually had quite a solid blacklist side. I think they've won the blacklist side 5-4 or better in all of their matches, and we haven't necessarily had to really rely on their global risk side. So I kind of wonder what it looks like if maybe Ranking ends up winning this first half 6-3 and kind of puts that pressure back onto Kungara. Do they have the chops to show us what they've got in the second half? And we might actually get a bit of an insight into that in this game because, well, already a fairly decisive victory in round 1 for Ranking.
And I like the approach playing quite passive here on site, because I think Kungara, they really had some trouble in this tournament to execute towards bomb side either A or B. Because, yeah, again, they don't have really the best entry fraggers. It really comes down to Famous and Kais usually to get the clutches. And as you remember, Imperial played quite aggressive towards mid, as well as LCK. And this was also the main reason why Kungara was so strong on this blacklist side.
Yeah, very different approach, obviously, from Ranking.
Kungara, though, I feel like they're going to have to play a little bit more assertive in some of these rounds, taking mid earlier, knowing Ranking might not be playing in there. You can see the utility coming down from Kungara for that control onto mid. They've got it, still a minute on the clock to work with, but now they've got to set up a much cleaner execution. Maybe a mid to be here might be the best call. There's only one person directly on site for Ranking. It's going to be KT15 as well, holding that position. The rest of Ranking very stacked towards A.
Patience of virtue right now for Ranking. Still a 5-on-5, so you do have to execute into these sides. Kungara going to be running into what feels like a bit of a brick wall. Nevis already looking good is a bit of a scary sign as well for Kungara. Seems like he'll be tested again here as some nades getting tossed into the side, and Nevis won't be able to land the initial shots that he needs this time. It'll come down to Fakon and Humio to try to hold on to the side, but Kungara have been successful in breaking their way in. Famous Michael Brando surviving. KT15 fast on the flank, might pick up one for free, and there it is onto Brando, but good trade in the end from Michael, and Kungara are able to equalize early.
Yeah, I really like that execution from them. It looked a little bit sloppy at first, but after they secured that first frag, that was really key, coming down ramp, making sure that player couldn't get a single kill, and it gives them a lot more opportunity to clear sight without having to worry about those close corners. And now they're going to have to do something, I think, a little bit different here on the side of Ranking. You can see they do have two players going for that mid control, playing a little bit more forward, maybe hoping Kungara goes in to that mid position with a little bit less utility. It's going to be Humio and Nevis, though, who just shut it down right away. Kungara trying to kind of go in one at a time here. It's not working out. The counter nades come down as well. Michael and Kai's already very low, and I actually like this approach from Ranking. They initially take mid, they get the pick in mid, but then they give it up and put that pressure back onto Kungara.
Yeah, 5-on-4 is going to be a tough one to break for Kungara, especially having lost the C4 there in mid. But it doesn't really look like Ranking wants to try to forward hold at all. More than happy to allow Kungara to retrieve that C4 without too much of an effort.
I think it's a smart decision if you have the upper hand, like player-wise, on GR side. When you're up numbers, just play passive on side 5 versus 4, because just got to win those trades and then the round should be yours for sure.
Yeah, definitely a solid call there. KT15 running into trouble, spots the first, takes down Michael. And now they have even more of an advantage to work with. You can see Famous trying to sneak his way out here. It's not going to work out for him either. Taken down, KT15 doing a good job of isolating 2 1v1s on the water. Now it's a 5-on-2. The clock is ticking. It may not matter for long, though. Fakon takes down Kais and Brando. Not a whole lot he could do there. Fakon picks up the double and the round. Ranking definitely have studied this Kungara team on the BL side. They're ready to go here.
I think a key factor for Kungara is here on this map, they should figure out if Ranking is playing with mid. If they're playing with mid, they should definitely go for a ward execute, because there will be only one player covering it. And if Ranking plays without mid, The weak point is you should just take mid very fast and push towards B side, because there will be only one player covering like this quad area. So if you take mid control and you figure out, okay, mid is actually clear, let's just fast execute towards B side, because as you can see, there are 3 players on A side. Okay, this time they play quite different with just 2 players towards B side, but usually also Kungara had more success executing towards bomb side B. So yeah,
it's a good point. Obviously, from our perspective, it's very easy to say, like, obviously mid has been completely left open by ranking 3 rounds in a row now, and this is actually the 4th round where they really haven't done a whole lot in mid beyond just smoke that connector area. But how do you, as a team on the blacklist side, actually figure out that there's nothing happening in mid?
Right. I mean, look now, like there's KT15 watching water cross, and then we have like Fatcon watching water as well. So if you take mid control and just fast execute towards bomb side B, the chances are very high you take this round, because the rotation from Fatcon might take too long. So this is a good counter against this setup.
It's funny, isn't it? Because we've seen Kungara play actually really quite fast on Mexico Blacklist side in a lot of their previous matches, especially against Imperial. It felt like just out the gate, every single round they were into mid in the first 15 seconds. But I feel like in this game and the previous game they played against LCK, they've played it a little bit slower, and that might be working to their detriment. They take mid now, but there's only a minute left on the clock. Doesn't give them as many options, and obviously ranking feeling not a huge amount of that time pressure. KT15 just sort of spotting multiple angles here. Smoke's going to go over the top there for B main.
That's useful smoke. You smoke off B main so you can peek towards water. Fatcon won't even spot you maybe. Basically can't kill you.
Well, already IceCube's been able to chime in with 1. So again, we're down on numbers, and it seems like ranking has got the read that this is going to be back toward the B site. You can see those members moving into mid, rotating across the B, and it's just no hope at all for Kungara. Ranking are reading them like a book at the moment. 3-1 is the score.
It's a bit disappointing, though. It almost seems like they're hesitating on the executions for Kungara. If you look at the way they would have pushed like that against Imperial, it would have been much faster getting onto that B bomb site. No hesitation on that quad corner, and I feel like they need a little bit more of that in this matchup, because they're almost giving too much respect to ranking, I think, on this BL side of the map, and ranking, they're taking advantage of that really nicely. Starting this one off, though, it is a little bit slower pace from ranking. Just trying to nade stack onto that mid prep position. You can see Nevis and Humio creeping up in mid, thinking about taking that peak. Famous on the other side of it has been kind of quiet so far for someone who came into this one with 110 ADR in the tournament so far. 1-3, not the score you want to see from this guy.
I mean, across the board, it's not really looking too pretty for Kungara. Michael's going 3-3. Everyone else is negative. I think that's bad news for Kungara if their sort of star players of this event so far aren't showing up. Guys, Famous obviously have to highlight, but Brando's also been really good on this map so far, and he's not really having too much success in this game. Humio's 4-1, someone that we highlighted quite a lot. Obviously, IceCube hasn't had to do too much being the sniper of the team, but in fact, all the riflers for ranking are having quite a good game. Then again, obviously, it is a global risk-sided map, and sure, we might have been given the luxury of Kungara playing well on the blacklist side. They might have to actually work a bit harder for their win here against ranking. So they're going to try to make their way into A one more time, and they've found a few entries this time around. Much cleaner. Ranking not able to hold on to the A site this time around.
Yeah, perfect execution here. Really good job of using that utility to isolate these players in separate 1v1 situations and secure those easy trades. You can see KT15 trying to get a little bit aggressive going back in there. Not going to work out. Fatcon now left in a 1-on-4 situation. All Kungara has to do is just swing together and they'll get it done. Famous putting up 2 in this one and securing a much-needed round to go their way. And even though they are losing in the half currently, if you can keep it pretty even on the BL side, they'll still be happy with this half.
I agree. I also felt like it was a mistake from ranking sending 3 players towards water. Because usually if you have 2 players doing a decent crossfire in front of water tunnel area, it should be enough to cover it. So having only 2 players on A side, Mexico, it's a tough task to hold it, or to defend it.
More of a forward hold this time from Ranking, though. Don't mind them changing things up a little bit, keeping Kungara guessing. I mean, if you're Kungara here and you go straight into mid expecting it to be empty, all of a sudden met with some pretty heavy resistance. Makes for a bit more of a difficult round.
Yeah, I think they should bait them out with some flashes and figure out if they play with mid, and if they figure out, okay, they're actually in mid, let's just go for the water execute. This would be the perfect counter.
Yeah, I agree, because right now it's really only one player holding water from an off angle. And now they've got a lot of attention on this mid push. Maybe the alley play could work out if they catch them off guard. They've got 4 players in alley right now for Kungara, but they're not going to full commit here. Maybe rotating towards that water play. They're going to keep Brando in position, though, for the flank. Fotcon is pushed up to this box. Brando has to be careful. The timing could be everything for Fotcon. Gets the opener. Brando not able to trade soon enough, but you know what? He still gets it done anyways. I'm surprised he got that connection through the box. Now they can re-execute into mid. It's only KT15 on the other side. If he goes down too soon, the mid to B is wide open, and Kais finds that opening. Nevis tries to slide in. Doesn't matter. Brando takes him down. And finally, they've got a good execution towards this B-bomb side.
Yeah, starting to get a bit more success, and Michael watching the cross as well is going to make it difficult for Humio to get into a retake position. Leaving it just on Ice Cube, who really won't get it done this time, and all of a sudden the storyline changes again. It was looking like Ranking were on top and kind of dominating, but now it's fairly even again. Kungara gets back into the discussion.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if Ranking's going to go for an aggressive mid after kind of losing it because of that in the last round. So it's going to be early presence there. Only one holding on to it, though. It's going to be Fotcon playing by the quad boxes, 3 towards A. They've got that double coverage still on water, kind of that close support system. But surprisingly, Ice Cube's going to rotate over to quad as well, kind of playing this doubled up position on the backside of it. I'm not a huge fan of this spot. It's usually kind of a one and done and at best, so I feel like for Ice Cube, maybe he could get better value playing a slightly more passive position.
I feel like Ranking analyzed Kungara way too much, maybe a little bit, like, because every round they're trying to go for a counter setup, stacking either water or mid, and it doesn't work out. I mean, if you remember the first round, they just played 2 on B, 3 on A, and worked it perfectly. Just a normal setup, and sometimes this is the way to go, and not to think too much.
Yeah, it seems like they are overthinking it maybe a little bit, but Ice Cube still gets the opener onto Kais. Good way to get the round started. Puts that extra pressure onto Kungara to decide where they want to make their move. You can see they still haven't taken any forward control towards this B-bomb site yet. Mercs is in control of mid, but they don't really want to take any fights here, and I don't blame them. They're kind of spread out at the moment.
Critical round, though, for Kungara to keep that momentum flowing, right? You don't want to let Ranking back in after you've worked hard for the last couple of rounds. Going to go into that A side, which has 3 members defending it, but quickly 2 dropping. Humio standing tall, though, and we've highlighted him as being an important, influential player for Ranking, and that is exactly why when the chips are down, he drops a big 3K and saves the round for Ranking.
I mean, really great positioning there from Humio. I thought they had the sight with Michael getting that nice 2K coming down ramp, but Humio just playing that corner position so well on the forklift and making it difficult for anyone to take him out. And that's where that position has so much value on this map. If you put a good aimer on the forklift, it's so hard to break through. This time, though, he plays pretty aggressive in mid, able to find one onto Mercs, quickly traded down by Kais. But in the 4v4, I definitely feel like that's good for Kungara in this position. They're going to have probably one site that's left with a single player on it. You can see Ranking trying to push forward on the mid position to get a secondary kill, but they're not going to find anything.
Yeah, it's good to see Kais using the sniper rifle now, because I think if you want to go for an A execute and you want to shift towards A side, it's good to have a backup sniper, because at some point they're really forced to peek, you know? And if Kais is sniping from mid area towards A, this could be a good counter, because when I played with Kais in Mexico, I also told him the same. So I hope he will remember it today.
Yeah, it's a good change up here, I think. Kai's pretty effective on it aggressively when he needs to be as well, so He's someone who can handle going for these picks. Unfortunately, this time, he's not going to find it. Still, he pushes through towards the B bomb site. There's nobody actually here for ranking, and he's going to get that information pretty quickly. He should know somebody's playing on this long box or in the alleyway towards B, but it's actually FotCon on the lurk who takes down Brando, but Famous gets the nade kill onto KT15. Doesn't seem to matter too much, though, because Ice Cube finds himself that kill onto Kai's.
Ice Cube doesn't actually manage to land himself the shot there, so he'll feel under pressure, but he's getting help from Nevis, and he's landed a shot himself, so easy done again. Ranking are looking pretty good.
And this one is crucial now because first off, 4 to 5 would be still decent in terms of like the blacklist. But if you lose this 3 to 6, this looks kind of scary for Kungara because on GR they didn't look too strong yet in this tournament.
Yeah, I agree. They look like they struggled quite a bit on that GR side compared to the BL. If they can somehow take this 4th round, they're still in a pretty good position. You can see Ice Cube. He wants to take this fight on water. He's going to find it. Almost has a shot at the collateral. Gets the 2nd shot anyways. Michael, he's stuck behind this box. Ice Cube gets the triple kill. And things are not working out at all for Kungara.
I mean, it's not only that, but it's also that Ranking now have got their big individuals starting to step up. A huge round from Humio a couple of rounds ago. Now Ice Cube's kind of looking pretty scary with the Orm as well. And those are 2 big win conditions that are falling into place for Ranking. Not to mention you've got Nevis playing sort of 3rd fiddle. Everyone else is kind of having a good day as well. And that is a pretty solid first half, it has to be said, from Ranking. Look, not the end of the world for Kungara, but this is actually the first time where we're really going into the second half saying, all right, they actually need a good second half rather than, well, this should be pretty easy to close out because they had a good blacklist side. So another test for Kungara, similar to how we were having that conversation around whether or not they can get it done on another map yesterday. Now we have to find out, can they get it done actually on their GR side of Mexico?
Yeah, a lot of it comes down to Ranking. Just hitting the better shots here, looking like a more well-rounded team. Mercs also on the opposite side, kind of struggling in this match so far. 1-8 for him. The rest of Kungara, though, at least comparable in what they've brought to the table. Obviously, Famous not putting up another 20 so far, it seems, in this map, but this is the side where they could come back on and show us a little bit more. It is a very GR-sided map, and Ranking, they've had trouble in the past on this side getting things done, especially if you take the risk of Ice Cube on that Om. You really need him to find something to start off these rounds.
Yeah, I mean, the job obviously gets more difficult for Ranking as well. It's been looking good so far, but now they're on the more difficult side, and 6 rounds is not going to win you a game. Still need to show up in this second half. But they've got some pretty good entry fraggers. Humio as well in the clutch. You can usually back him if it comes down to it. KT15 looking for those entries into mid, won't quite land one. C4's actually dropped in mid now as well, so for Ranking the job gets even more difficult now that they really have to commit into that.
You can tell Famous wants to take the fight here. Brando alongside him. These 2 in mid are very hard to get past, but not only that, the C4 is down. The first player just went in swinging with it. That is a huge mistake coming out from Ranking in this one. They're going to try and flash their way to recover it. Humio wants to cross here, but Mercs, he's got the angle to maybe swing and shut them down. Gets the first kill here from the shadow position. And look at this from Brando. Swings wide for 2. And Nevis is all alone, and he is stuck in this alleyway.
Not much he's really going to be able to do from here. 20 seconds left. He's being flanked as well by Brando, and Kai's wants the kill. So he'll get in there and finish it off. It's a good start for Kungara. Definitely what they need.
Yeah, you can see here in replay, Brando picking up 3 kills on the round, and this is the Brando we saw previously on Mexico being so impactful. And it's good to see more of it right when they need it most. Mercs as well, starting to get on the board here, and this is where it becomes a much closer game on our hands. Ranking, they've got to show what they can do on this BL side, and that's what worried me in this matchup for Ranking, is when they get into these pressure situations. They have so many matches where they keep it close and they can't finalize, but now they're going to try and finalize this execution on the A bomb site, but Michael shuts it down so far with 2. Brando gets a 3rd. It's a 3-on-2 retake in the making, but Famous goes in with no support, and KT15 is able to find him as the bomb goes down.
Big opportunity here for Ranking to pick up their first round on the Blacklist side, and every single one of those feels like it's worth its weight in gold. 2-on-2, unlikely to get too many chances like this one. Brando and Mercs on the other side of it. Be a big round for Mercs to come online. 2-9 at the moment. He's been having a huge impact, but let's see what he can do here in the 2-on-2. KT15 takes the initial challenge, but it's Fatcon to take both of the kills. 7-4 the scoreline. And Ranking creep 1 round closer.
For 1 second I thought Famous has the perfect off angle to defend bombs at A, but also great flash from Ranking Esports. And yeah, also at the end he looked kind of confused. It's also difficult to call, you know, when the enemy team is pushing A side. It's really difficult to call because everything is smoked off. It's like one guy might be yellow, one guy might be in house, one guy might be still in alleyway waiting there. So that's why Famous didn't really know where to look at.
Yeah, really difficult to retake that A-bomb site, but now Ranking, they're in a good spot to try and close out this first map. You'd have to think if they can do it on Mexico against Kungara, they could surely do it anywhere else in this map pool. So for Kungara, this is kind of a must-win in this series. We talked about them being kind of the more momentum-based team out of the two, needing that 2-0, very likely to take this series. A third map not seeming too good for them, knowing it's compound. But this time Ranking, something they don't usually do here is go for the full commit out of water. They're going to do it here. Kai's and Brando on the other side, though it is just a fake from Ranking. They throw the counter utility. Kungara baited out in this one, but nothing on the other side of it. Ranking quickly going back towards mid.
Well, now they're really under time pressure Ranking because now they have to take mid really fast and then execute towards bomb side A or B.
Whoa. Big spray from KT15 through the smoke, but no one there to be found.
Yeah, they're trying to find anything they can at this point to get the ball rolling. But Kungara playing very, very safe. You can see Brando alone on the back of the B-bomb site. Might get tested here. There's 3 players working in that direction. Make it for Brando. He has to step up here with Kais, who gets the first on the cross. This position is everything for Kais. Gets the double, almost the triple. Brando, he just has to hang on. He's the only player who can defend now, and the rest of the team on the rotation goes down. And now they have full control to go back to A. Brando can't get the value unless he moves quickly here.
I wonder if he got swatted out there by Nervous as well. I mean, you'd certainly be expecting him to come across from the B side anyway. 2-on-1. I mean, Brando, he's been solid on this map so far, but this is one that you really need to get over the line as Kungara. Otherwise, you're staring down the barrel of a 1-0 deficit in this series. And a tough ask considering that rotation from Fatcon right behind him. Nothing to be done. 8-4 the scoreline now.
Yeah, great flank from Fatcon, but why was Michael pushing out A doors? I don't get it. Like 2 versus 2, one player was even low HP from Ranking. Just choose a good spot on A side. If they push A side, it's easy 2K, easy 2-piece for you, my friend.
Yeah, they got a little bit anxious there, over-peaking, costing them the round. And now Ranking, they've got an 8-4 lead. And this is where they have a pretty solid chance to close it out if they keep this momentum to move forward with. Kungara on the other side, though, struggling to get things done on this GR side of the map. They haven't really found too much on it, only 1 round so far, but KT15 wants to take the challenge towards the A-bomb site. Kungara, they're so pushed forward in mid. If they can use some utility on the side of Ranking to cut these site defenders off from the rest of the ramp, it could be an easy way to get into this bomb site quickly, but you can see Ranking, they're going to be setting up just that here, throwing some nice utility to get into this A-ramp position, and they're just going to go in guns blazing. Michael has to hold it essentially with just 1 support player nearby. He gets the first kill. He needs a lot more than that to hang on, though. It's not going to matter. He's mowed down quickly. Famous swoops in to try and help. He gets 2 before going down, but it's just not going to be enough. And Ranking take it to map point.
Not looking good, is it? Seems like it's over. It definitely seems like it's over. I don't see Kungara pulling it back from here. And I guess we get our answer, right? If they don't have a solid Blacklist side, then this Global Risk side is kind of letting them down a little bit.
And it's kind of do or die here. Both players missing the shot in water, though. Kai's and Ice Cube trying to go head-to-head. But with 5 in a row needed for Kungara, it's a tough road ahead. And you can see they want to play a little bit riskier to try and get something early. But he is walking right into a trap. There's 3 players on the other side of it. Somehow he's able to get out alive, hoping he can bait out the shot. Misses the connection, though, onto Ice Cube and Ranking. They're just going to fall off.
Still a lot of mid-presence from Kungara. Want to see what Nevis can maybe get up to lurking around here on the alleyway. It's been given a smoke to smoke off the double doors as well. And he's also thrown a progression smoke here for Ranking to try to make their way up through the tunnel. Kai's is going to get pulled off. They think it might actually end up being an A take here. I think Nevis has kind of done enough. And in the meanwhile, Ranking have just walked their way out through the tunnel. Sure, they've retaken mid, but the B site is completely open here for Ranking. It's 4 on 5, very quickly brought back by KT15, who caught Kai's in the back, and now it's Famous who's trying to bring the numbers back to a favorable enough situation for Kungara, but it seems he can't do enough. Plant is going down on B. Vatcon holding on to the rotation. Brando's making his way across. He'll be timed by Vatcon. And now it's just Michael to try to secure the 1-on-3, which is almost an impossible task at this point with the time ticking away from him.
Yeah, Michael, he's going to have to have a huge play here in this situation. Otherwise, it is already over on their map pick. And it's going to be Ice Cube who gets it done. A huge statement from Ranking to start off their life in the wild card. They take a 1-0 on Kungara's map pick to kick it off.